The bar hole mode is used to perform consistent checks of bar holes when tracking down underground gas leaks. When the GX2003 is in bar hole mode, only the gas readings for the combustible and oxygen sensors are displayed. Readings from the CO or H2S sensors, if installed, are suppressed, as are the gas alarms for all sensors. The following description of the GX2003 startup sequence assumes that the following menu items in the setup mode are turned on: user station ID and cal time remaining. If either of these items is turned off, then the corresponding screen will not appear. To prepare for operation, connect the sample hose to the GX2003's Quick Connect inlet fitting. Next, screw the bar hole probe onto the sample hose's threaded fitting. To start the GX2003, press and briefly hold down the Power Enter button. The Mode Select screen displays. The cursor will begin in front of normal mode, and normal mode will flash, indicating that it is the mode to be selected. Use the Shift button to move the cursor in front of bar hole mode. Press and release the Power Enter button to begin the bar hole mode startup sequence. Please note that if no button is pressed for 20 seconds, the unit will proceed into the mode with the cursor in front of it. If user station ID is turned on, the ID screen displays for a few seconds. After the ID screen, if cal time remaining is turned on, the screen that appears next depends on how the cal expired action is set in the setup mode menu. If the unit is due for calibration and cal expired action is set to confirm to use, the alarm LEDs and buzzer will pulse several times and the vibrator will activate for a second. After this, press the Reset Silence button until you hear a beep to continue. If the unit is due for calibration and cal expired action is set to Cannot Use, then the GX2003 cannot be used until a calibration has been performed by selecting Auto Calibration in the Setup Mode menu. If calibration is not due or cal expired action is set to No Effect, then a screen appears for a few seconds indicating when the next calibration is due. Next, the date, time, battery level screen appears for a few seconds. This screen displays the current date, time, and an indication of how much battery charge remains. If the GX2003 experiences a sensor failure, a screen indicating which sensor failed will display. If one of the combustible sensors, LEL, ppm, or percent volume fails, it is not possible to enter the bar hole mode. Press and release the Reset Silence button to acknowledge the failure and return to the Mode Select screen. Replace the failed sensor as soon as possible. If the oxygen sensor fails, press and release the Reset Silence button to acknowledge the failure and continue to bar hole mode. The gas reading for the oxygen sensor will be replaced by XXX. Replace the failed sensor as soon as possible. If the CO or H2S sensor is installed and fails, press and release the Reset Silence button to acknowledge the failure and continue to bar hole mode. The GX2003 is now operating in bar hole mode. The pump is off and the bar hole screen appears. The current methane and oxygen channels are displayed along with the time and battery charge level. Before using the GX2003, it is recommended to set the fresh air readings for the target gases by performing a demand zero. This will set the methane channel to 0 and the oxygen channel to 20.9%. Find a fresh air environment. This is an environment free of toxic or combustible gases and is of normal oxygen content, 20.9%. Press and hold the air button. The pump will start and the display will indicate Fresh Air Purge below the oxygen reading for a few seconds before indicating that a demand zero is taking place and prompting you to hold the air button. Continue to hold the air button until the display prompts you to release the air button. The GX2003 will set the fresh air reading for the methane and oxygen channels. Startup is complete, and the unit is now ready for bar hole testing. In bar hole mode, you can initiate sampling for a fixed time period to monitor for methane and oxygen in a bar hole. The factory set time is 30 seconds. At the end of the sample period, the pump will shut off and the peak methane and minimum oxygen levels monitored during the sample period will be displayed. Take the GX2003 to the bar hole that will be tested. Insert the probe into the bar hole and press and release the power enter button. The pump will turn on and the sample period will begin, with the sample period counting down in seconds in the lower right corner of the display above the battery icon. The methane channel will be displayed in percent volume and the message BH mode will be flashing. After 15 seconds of sampling, if the methane reading is less than 5% volume, the methane channel will automatically begin displaying in percent LEL. At the end of the sample period, the pump will shut off and the audible alarm will sound. The peak methane reading and the minimum oxygen reading for the sample period will then be displayed. If a high concentration of methane was encountered, a fresh air purge can be performed to purge the hose, probe, and GX2003 of gas before the next bar hole test. To perform a purge, remove the probe from the bar hole so that the instrument will draw fresh air. Press and release the display adjust button. The display will now indicate fresh air purge below the oxygen reading, and the purge time will begin counting down from 30 seconds in the lower right corner of the display above the battery icon. When purge is complete, the screen will return to the initial bar hole mode screen. If other bar holes will be tested, proceed to the next bar hole and repeat the previously described steps. To cancel a bar hole measurement or fresh air purge that is in progress, press and release the display adjust button. To exit bar hole mode and return to the mode select screen at any time, press and hold the shift button for 5 seconds. To turn off the GX2003 when in the bar hole mode, press and hold the power enter button. The unit will initiate a bar hole measurement. Keep holding the power enter button. The buzzer will sound and the LCD backlight will flash for about 5 seconds. Release the button when goodbye appears on the display. When goodbye disappears and the backlight turns off, the unit is off.